We are back with tonight's breaking news. Additional classified documents found at the Wilmington home of President Biden after an FBI search. Arlette, bring us up to speed with this latest revelation from the president's personal attorney.
Yeah, Pamela, President Biden's personal attorney, Bob Bauer, releasing a statement in just the last hour saying that more materials bearing classified markings were found at President Biden's Wilmington, Delaware home. Now, this was found during a search that was conducted by the Justice Department, and a source tells our colleague, Gavin Perez, that it was actually carried out by the FBI. This was all done in coordination and cooperation with President Biden's personal attorneys and the White House counsel's office. Both entities had people on hand during that search process. Now, the Biden attorneys opened up the home to FBI officials, to the Department of Justice, so that they could search the living, the working, and the storage areas at that Wilmington home. As they were going through various documents tied to President Biden, they found an additional 6 materials bearing classified documents. They also, or classified markings. They also took into their possession some other materials that were also on hand. Now, this is the 5th known instance where a search was conducted at that Wilmington residence, and then also at the Penn Biden Center, where classified documents were turned up. Of course, it's important to know that this was a search that was conducted by the Justice Department. In the past, it had been President Biden's personal attorneys who had been on hand for those searches. And just to kind of run you through what we know about the various classified documents that had been found, there was that first batch found on November 2nd at the Penn Biden think tank. That was the private office that President Biden used in the years after he left the Obama administration. There's also that December 20th search at the Wilmington, Delaware home, where more documents were turned up. And then just last week on January 11th, there was a search. And then the following day, January 12th, more materials were also found. I will also note President Biden is currently spending the weekend here at his home in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, with his wife, Jill Biden. That home has also previously been searched by only, that we know so far, by the personal attorneys. Now, what the personal attorneys are trying to make clear is that they are doing this all in cooperation with the Justice Department. And I'll also note there was a previous statement that they had released just last Saturday, where they had said when the documents were found just a few days prior to that, that they stopped their search and notified the Justice Department. The area around there was not further searched until the White House special counsel went up last Thursday to hand over and facilitate the transfer of documents to the Justice Department, at which point more documents were found. Now, just on Thursday, President Biden did say that he believes ultimately these investigations will show that there's no there. He said that he's been following the advice of his attorneys throughout this process. They're trying to cooperate with the special counsel's investigation. He also responded to a question about whether he regrets the way that they've been disclosing the discovery of these classified documents. The White House has come under a lot of criticism for not being more forthright and forthcoming with the information initially, and President Biden said he doesn't have regrets into that matter. Now, this search was the Wilmington, Delaware home with the Justice Department was conducted just yesterday. Bob Bauer said that it took about 13 hours as they sifted through the various rooms of the home, and then now just the next day, close to 7 o'clock, was when they announced the findings of this search of the Wilmington residence. But certainly this just adds to the drip nature that we've seen from this classified document saga, which the White House has been grappling with for almost 2 weeks now.
And I just, as I'm reading through this lawyerly statement from the president's personal attorney, clearly they have to be very careful about what they say and the words they choose. But they said there's 6 items consisting of documents with the classification marking. So it could be there's more pages than 6 pages, right? That they were very clear to say 6 items consisting of documents. And then also it says classified markings, I should say, and surrounding materials, some of which were from the president's service in the Senate. Do we know, though, and again, this is just coming out, so that's okay if you don't know the answer, but if some of the classified markings, some of the documents with those markings came from his time as Senate, or some of the additional material they took came from his time as in the Senate?
No, we simply don't. We don't know the time frame for a lot of these documents. I will note that when it comes to the documents that were found at the Penn Biden Center, we did have some reporting that they were dated from the years when President Biden was in the White House as vice president. But we don't have any further detail about the documents that were found, materials that were found at the Wilmington residence. We don't have time frames for that. But certainly, President Biden has been in public office for quite some time, spending more than 3 decades in the Senate, then his 8 years in the White House with President Obama, and then now as president for the past 2 years. So we will see whether we will learn more about these documents. You know, they have been very tight-lipped about what exactly these documents do entail. That's all certainly things that the special counsel will be looking into as this investigation gets underway.
All right, thanks, Arlette. We'll be right back.